We're good.
All right, let's do this. Hey guys, happy Thursday. Welcome in. I am here with Dr. Jeff Gamble. I am super duper happy and excited and thrilled. He has taken the time out of his daily business schedule to help me out with this awesome new project that we're working on. And before we get started, here are some things that I would love to share about him with you guys. One, he makes a lot of money, a ton of money. Two, Jeff and his wonderful fiancee Brandy are both holistic doctors, and they own a holistic studio in Indianapolis, Indiana. We are actually both from Indiana, so again, Indiana in the house. Love that. Always got to talk about that, right? They also own a real estate company, and they are both real estate investors. They own a coaching and consulting firm, and they know 100% about the facts of what I want to share with you. Jeff is probably the closest expert of all of the things. So I'm really happy and excited to bring him on. Lastly, he loves to have a lot of fun and he loves to help people. So welcome in, Dr. Jeff Gamble. Thank you so much for your time and for coming in to help me out with this project. Take it on over.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm super happy to do this. Alia and I actually met through Facebook, Facebook friends, now connecting, and I was able to actually share this project with her, and we had to go kind of round and round. She had some questions. She wanted to see everything. She wanted to learn everything. And eventually we kind of got all the details there, and she's like, yeah, this looks like a really, really good thing. So we got started. So here is the purpose of what we're doing. We want to share with you what it is we do. So if you happen to run across the right person, you have the ability to refer them to us. The goal is education here for referrals. So with that being said, I'm going to get right into the information and make this short and sweet. Every single Tuesday, we do an open house. That open house covers all the details, and it happens on a weekly basis every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Central, or based on whatever time zone you're in. So this is myself and my fiance, better half, the better looking half, let's say that. And we are both traditional naturopathic doctors. What that means is we are non-medical, more of Eastern philosophy, more of the holistic side of the business. Um, we also, like Aaliyah said, we do own our own studio. We have 12 people who work for us there. We own a real estate company where we buy and sell houses. We also own an investment company where we flip properties and do all kinds of stuff, commercial, land, etc. And we do own a consulting and coaching company, my leadership network. With all that being said, I look at business opportunities. And I look at other ways to make money. I think nowadays you'd have to be somewhat crazy not to at least keep an open mind to look at stuff. A lot of stuff just isn't the right thing. Brandy and I were looking for something that we could do from our cell phone. We were also looking for something that anybody could participate in, and we really, really wanted to make it something that we could do anywhere with that cell phone, with the internet, because we love to travel. So with that being said, let's get into some details. There are 6 areas we're going to evaluate. I did not create these 6 areas. These 6 areas were something that Harvard School of Business said, hey, if you look at any opportunity, you should cover these 6 areas and make sure. One is the company. Is it solid? How long has it been around? Where is it? The need. Are you solving a real need that's helping people? The market. Where can you actually sell or market your product? The products themselves, what are they? Are they needed? Is it something people want to do? The compensation, are you paid well for what you're doing? And last but not least, the timing. In real estate is location, location, location. When it comes to business, it's timing, timing, timing. So we're going to cover all these areas here real quick. The first one is the company, based in Sarasota, Florida, founded by Keith and Chrissy. And one thing that I like about these guys is when I got started, I actually got on the phone with both of them. I interviewed both of them. And here's what I found out. And particularly what I like about them is they started in the field as salespeople and they had success, which is also key. They ended up leaving a company, joining another company because it was a big opportunity in precious metals. That's what they liked. So they got into that company, worked that company, did well. Eventually, Keith got into corporate in acquisitions and Chrissy got into corporate in customer service, and we're helping them out. That company had two partners. They had differences. The partnership ended up splitting up, and these guys went with one of the partners, and Keith became the head of acquisitions, and Chrissy became the head of customer service, and she built the entire department. So they went along, they were doing great for a couple years, and eventually they had the idea. They said, what if we could do this on our own and we could do it even better? So in May 1st of 2019, they broke off and started this company called QuickSilver. Now, the thing I like about it is it's now over 5 years old. The reason why that's important, if you look at any business, is you typically want to look at businesses that have at least 5 years in, because 99.9% of businesses don't make it 5 years. If you make it past 5 years, the chance of being around goes up greatly. Um, they are open and expanding in 29 countries. So right now, United States and Canada is probably the main two, but we got 27 other countries to go into, which is why I call it ground floor. There are less than 6,000 sales reps worldwide. Worldwide. I'm from Indianapolis. Indianapolis Metro has about 1.4 million. So you could put all 6,000 sales reps in Indianapolis and still have, about 1.3999, million people to go after. So we got the rest of the United States and Canada, and we'll go into all those different places here in a second. The need. I believe there's actually five needs. I only have four listed here, so I'll give you the fifth one for free. The ability to make more money is probably the top one. I think you have to be a little crazy right now not to want to make more money, because things get more expensive, right? Groceries get more expensive, tires, brakes, kids, groceries, et cetera, et cetera. So number one reason is the ability to make more money. Number two is the ability to have more time. Now, how do you get back more time? Typically, you have to make more money. You buy your time back is typically how it works. Three, the ability to create more security. Well, how do you get security? Well, typically the more money in the bank, and the ability to invest in things that create cash flow. Brandy and I particularly love real estate. One of the things that we love investing in, because there's an opportunity to make money four different ways. Where most businesses, there's usually an opportunity to make two or three different ways. Um, the fourth thing listed here is the ability to contribute and help other people. If you have money and you have time and you have security, what else is there to do other than go help other people? Um, the fifth one on the list is something that I realize more and more people are looking for, is just to have fun, hang out with people, entertainment, travel, etc. That is something that this allows you to do. And I'll cover that here in a second. So the market. I said already we're in the United States and Canada, but if you look at this list, Aruba, Australia, Bahamas, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Trinidad, Tobago, United Kingdom, you'll notice there are two continents not even listed on this list, which is all of South America and all of Africa. They're not listed yet because they just haven't gone there yet. So you not only have the ability to be first in a market, you'd have the ability to be first on a continent, to be able to build a business, which is huge. And that's what Brandy and I were looking for. I wanted to be able to work from my phone. I wanted to have a website where I could just send people the information and they could join in another place I'd never heard of, and you could actually earn commissions from around the world. That sounded super exciting to me. So, what are the products that we actually market? Right here, the main silver and gold. Copper is also on the list, but right now copper is completely sold out. So I just listed what's currently on our website. The silver are 1 ounce coins, and we'll talk about those here in a second. But we also sell fractional gold, meaning right now, a 1 ounce gold coin is going to sell for a little over $4,600. That's not really in a lot of people's budgets. So instead, you can buy 1/100th of an ounce for under $100 at the moment. And you can start stacking those coins up. Have a good friend that his mentor 30 some years ago told him, hey, no matter what you do, no matter what money you go make, take 1 to 5% of your income and buy precious metals. So what he did is he did that and he started buying gold. And when I talked to him in 2022, he had accumulated over 400 ounces of gold. Current market price of gold is, like I said, just north of 4,600. So I got my calculator here, just to kind of share with you how impressive this was. When I talked to him, it was $2,500 an ounce. So he had 400 plus ounces. So we'll just use 400 times 2,500. That's what he had. That's $1 million. Now he has 400 ounces. And now gold is up to $4,600. Let's just say if he sold it at that, that's
Oh,
1.84 million.
wow.
That's a lot. So gold and silver do not reward you immediately, but they reward you over time. This is a long-term play, if that makes sense. The flagship product with our company is silver, obviously in the name QuickSilver. 1 ounce, 99% government silver bullion coins. Now, I read about and I listened to mentors that said you should buy this. What was the reason I didn't do it? Here's the reason. There were all different options. And when there's a lot of options, a confused mind does nothing. So what I had to do is I had to go research. I found out there were things like junk silver. I was like, well, what is that? Well, pre 1964, dimes, quarters, and nickels had silver in them. I didn't know that, and copper. So what what I did is I started looking at that and I was like, well, I don't know what to get. And where do you go find pre 1960? Like, what am I going to do? Sift through coin machines? I don't have that kind of time. I wanted something simple and easy. They also have collectibles. So certain companies take silver and they melt it down and they make it into the face of the Simpsons, or they make it into a football, or they make it into Batman, or whatever's popular, and they sell that as a collectible. What is the issue with that? Well, when I started reading about it, they said, look, when times get tough, nobody cares about the collectible value. What they care about is the silver itself. So why pay more for something when in the end you're only going to get what it's actually worth, not the collectible price? There's also things called numismatic coins, which, popular. I know, one of my friends were like, are they numismatic? I said, no, they're government issue. He goes, oh, those are just the simple generic price coins. I was like, yeah, that's what I understand. So when I understood that that's what they were selling and why they were selling it, that's the moment I actually jumped in. I needed to know what the differences were. And all I say is go do the research yourself, figure out what you should do. In fact, I read a book and a couple online blogs from collectors, and they said if you're a beginning collector, beginner, the number one thing you should buy is government issued coins. The reason being is you're getting them at the price, the spot price, but also they're the easiest to liquidate if you need the money back out of them. So that made a lot of sense to me. Next, what is the history of silver? So we're going to talk about spot price. What is spot price? Spot price is what it sold for daily. The spot price is what it trades for on the open market or sells for on the open market. So what I did is I just found the averages of the year. So obviously it goes up and down every day. It goes up and down every week. It goes up and down every month. But what was the average? The average in 1970 was $1.83. In 1980, it spiked at $21 and everybody freaked out. Why? Because of the oil embargo. For those of you who are old enough or know your history, 1978, 79, 1980, they thought the end of the world was coming. They thought there was no more oil. And then all of a sudden, technology caught up and we were able to drill a mile deep. And they realized over 90% of all the oil reserves exist over a mile deep. So they were like, okay, we have about 500 more years worth of oil. We're not running out of this anytime soon. We're all good. And silver went back to what the price it should be, which was about $6 at that time. And as you see, it bounced from $6 to $4 to $5. And then in 2005, it started going up. 7, 20, 15, 20. But in 2025, something really interesting happened. It went through the roof. So in the last 12 months, it's gone crazy. How crazy? In 2025, silver increased 147%. Now, why? The reason why is demand. Demand and the fact that a little company called JP Morgan decided to buy 750 million ounces of silver about 20 years ago, and they've sat on it. And what they did is they got together with all the banks and they basically organized together to print silver, meaning they started selling it on the open market as stocks and REITs and bonds. Again, I've been reading about this. Do not take this as financial advice, just education, just what I've learned. But they shorted the silver. So if you have really high supply of something, and medium demand, what happens to the price? Well, it kind of stays low. So they kept the price of silver really low. Well, what's happened in the last basically 5 years is EV cars came along, cell phones went through the roof, tablets went through the roof, and if it's electronics and it has a screen in it like a car, all cars have screens in them now. A lot of cars have hybrid batteries and stuff. It requires silver. So the demand of silver has gone up somewhere between 120 to 150%, which means they need more silver than they can actually get their hands on. So it is, obviously, if demand goes through the roof and supply is down, what happens to the price? It goes up. So the current spot price of silver, a 1 ounce coin, is north of $85. I'm going to look it up right now on my phone because it is the 15th of January, and this changes like literally every day, by a little bit. But I go to Amex, and right now, silver 1 ounce silver coin, $90.78. So it's just north of $90 right now. But in China, last night it closed out and was trading at over $107. So there's quite a gap there currently. The reason why to stack, the reason why to collect, the reason why to buy. Well, first of all, Warren Buffett said he doesn't like gold because gold really doesn't do anything. It just looks pretty. They make normally jewelry out of it. And when people need to, liquidate, they sell their jewelry, they melt it down, and they make another piece of jewelry. Somebody else buys it and repeats that cycle. He goes, it doesn't really have an industrial use. But with silver, you do have an industrial use. It's also valuable. Obviously, $90 an ounce. It's tangible, something you can hold in your hand. It's transportable. I can take it with me. I can put it in my pocket. I can get on a plane. Obviously, we're not talking about taking 100 ounces at a time, because if you show up to the airport with 2 cases of silver and it weighs 7,000 pounds, you're going to pay a bunch of money anyway. But TSA is going to want to know why you're flying out of the country with that much silver. It's transferable, meaning I can hand that coin to somebody else and now it's theirs, and it's economical. I mean, under $100. That means anybody who even has a part-time job could participate at some level in our company. Here's the industrial uses. It's used in the medical industry for bandages and catheters. It's used for water purification. I mentioned before, it's used in electronics, computers, cell phones, and cameras. It's used in all lithium batteries. All those Tesla cars driving around that have screens in them have batteries, silver. Best metal conductor of electricity out there. So all circuit breakers have silver in them. That's what the conductor is, where the wires attach. It does not corrode. So therefore, industrial use is going up and demand for it's going up. So silver is becoming more and more valuable because of demand. Why did we decide to buy from QuickSilver? Well, number one is security. QuickSilver does the research. They're buying from government issued mints. And I really liked that the sales force in QuickSilver had a lot of collectors. And who's going to know better if it's real than a collector? They have the equipment to test it. I don't have the equipment to test it. I didn't know what was what. So I was looking for, a place where a group of people, not just one person trying to sell it to me, but a group of people do. The second reason is opportunity. QuickSilver pays you to refer. I've gone to pawn shops. I've gone to silver and gold places. You can go out and do your own research on this. There is no place I've found that if I refer somebody else to it, will pay me back. And QuickSilver does that in a couple different ways. So that leads me to the compensation. How are we paid? Before we get into the different ways we're paid, I need to tell you a couple things. First of all, there's no guarantee of income or promotion. I don't know if you'll do the work. We are independent contractors. So you are 1099. That means you're responsible. We work in results. There are no set hours, no set schedules, no set quotas. You do what you want to do when you want to do it here. Educational resources and support are available, but you are not required to show up, join, buy, or attend. Risk of loss. Obviously, if you buy a bunch of silver and sell it for less, that's on you. Compliance. We will comply with all the laws and disclosures. So with that being said, let's go into how we get paid. There's 7 different ways to get paid. The first one is direct commissions. Everyone gets a website. As part of being a rep, you have your own website and your own online store to sell silver and gold. Anybody who goes to your website and buys anything off of your website, you get 2 things. You get a small commission, and I say small because the margins are small. You get a commission, but you also get points, and the points will rack up for more commission. And I'll show you that here in a minute. Customer acquisition bonus. So anybody who decides to go on our auto wealth order, an auto wealth order is nothing more than you picking how many coins you want each month, and they just come in every month. Now you can change that order at any point. You're not locked in. But you do get the first month up to $1 per coin, up to $10 or 10 coins. So it's not a lot, but every person who comes on board, obviously, if you're showing this a lot, you can earn, quite a bit of money. If you're only showing it every once in a while, you earn a little bit. But everything stacks and, counts. Challenge bonuses. So we have these challenge packages. I particularly like this challenge pack. Aaliyah got one. I got one. And what it is, it's a display case. It also has this really nice felt, what I call like a jewelry pad, where if you ever go to a jewelry store, they whip out that pad first and then they put your necklace, ring, watch on that pad so that way it doesn't scratch it up and it looks really cool. It has the magnifying glass and little white gloves so you don't get your, I was eating, what was I eating yesterday? A donut. And, even though I wash my hands, I feel like I still had donut on it. You don't want to put donut, obviously, on your coins and have them tarnish or your oil from your hands. So that's why the gloves. So this challenge package you can purchase, and what happens is if you buy one, you automatically double your bonus from $20 to $40. So you'd make $20 even if you didn't have one, but I wanted the extra money. I wanted the 40 and I wanted the 40 points. The points stack up and pay commissions. So they also have ongoing compensation for these bonuses. So if you have, I share it frontline to somebody and then they share it to somebody and then they share it to somebody and so on and so forth. This goes 7 levels down, 7 levels of salespeople down that you can earn money anywhere between 40 to $5. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I have a good friend that he brought in 100 and over 120 people and he had about 1,100 or 1,200 people on his team. He was earning close to six figures just off the bonuses alone. Just the bonuses, not any of the rest of the money. That leads me to this. The wealth cycles are actually my favorite part of this. This is the long-term money. All coins purchased in your organization give you points. You get personal points when you buy. There's personally referred points, meaning customers, or there's team points. Those are people who actually join QuickSilver. How does that work? QuickSilver cycles. So to achieve level one, first level in the business, you earn your first wealth cycle. Here's what you need to do. You sign up as an ambassador. We'll talk about how to do that in a second. You have at least 10 personal points or one coin a month, and you maintain at least one coin a month on the auto wealth. So basically, you have to be in and have a coin. From there, you have to have 100 points on the left and 100 points on the right to get a $10 commission. So here's how this works. A couple different ways to do it. You could, on the left, find one person who orders 10 coins. That's 100 points. Or you can find 10 people who order one coin. Still 100 points. Let's say on the right side, you end up signing up two people with a challenge pack who each get a coin. Well, each challenge pack is worth 40. So it's 40 and 40, that's 80. And each coin is worth 10. So if you recruit two people who each have a challenge pack and one coin, that's 100 points. Any combination of that, 100, 100, releases a $10 commission. Now, this is the compensation chart. You can see it goes all the way up. This is, 2 cycles, 4 cycles. So we're talking about $20, $40, $60, $80, 120, 160. Now at level 7, something happens. You have to now have 20 personal points. So you either have to have a customer that's buying every month that has a coin, or you just buy two, right? And obviously, if you're making $160, you can now afford the other coin anyway out of your commissions, which is what we've done. You can then go all the way up to level 13 with 2 coins, and then you have to have at least 4 coins personally, whether it's you have one and you have 3 customers that have one, or you buy 4, whatever combination. Obviously, if you're making $800 a month already at level 13, you could easily afford a couple more coins. Better choice probably than the money anyway. And then there's bonuses. These are the monthly leadership bonuses. So if you get all the way to level 21, $500, all the way up to $5,000. And if you look, the max cycles, $2,010 cycles means you're making $20,000 a month every single month. Being that most people are not buying 1,000 coins at a time, even if 10 people quit, you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even see it in your check. Why? Because if the team is growing, it wouldn't even matter. You'd still be at 20,000. Now it maxes out at 20,000. So I asked the question, what happens if I max it out? They said all you do is you recruit yourself back onto your team and you build a whole nother business again that maxes out at $20,000 residually. And you can do that as many times as you want. So I was like, okay, cool. Now, this is just an example. If you have one person on the right and one person on the left that each doing 100 points, it's $10. And this just shows you how the money increases as you go up the chart. 2,000 people on the left, 2,000 people on the right who each have 100 points each in their team. That would be that $20,000 a month, assuming that each person's doing 100 points. So the best time to plant a tree would have been 20 years ago if you want trees. The best time to join QuickSilver would have been May 1st, 2019. Since none of us have a time machine, we can't go back in time. The second best time to plant the tree or to get into QuickSilver would be like right now. Now, some people are like, I don't know, it's going pretty high. I have friends that have been following Bitcoin since it began, and I remember all the experts saying Bitcoin will never hit $1,000, and then it did. And then they said Bitcoin will never hit $10,000, and then it did. And they said it'll never hit 50, and then it went to 60. And then they said it might hit 60, but it'll never hit 100, and then it hit 100. And then it went all the way up to 132. And yes, the market goes up and down. It went back down to like 87, 86. I have it on my phone right here. What the heck is it doing right now? Because I have a bunch of that too. Bitcoin currently is $95,000. Now, if you had 100 Bitcoins, let's say 10 years ago, and you only spent a couple $100s for them and everybody told you were nuts and you sold them and they were worth $95,000 now, did you make a good move by listening to your friends? The answer is probably hell no. And I'm not saying, don't take everybody into consideration, but take financial advice from the people who have the money, not the people who don't. If somebody isn't involved, I really don't care what your opinion is. If you don't own it yourself, you're not who I'm looking to listen to. I'm just saying. So, how do you get started doing this? It's $10 a month. What does the $10 pay for? Well, it pays for your online store, your website. It also pays for your back office. So that way you track everything. It has the tools. It shows you your team. It shows you who's doing what, how the points come in, how the commissions come in. And we teach all this in our Fast Start training class. Second is you can do the challenge pack route, right? And then you choose your monthly wealth order. So I kind of look at this as there's three different ways to get involved. Number one, as a customer, you can just go to Alia's site and buy stuff if you want to buy stuff, which is cool. You can buy whatever you want. Number two is you can come on board for $10 and just be like a Costco member or a Sam's Club member and just refer. You don't want to attend meetings. You're not gung-ho about this. You're not going to do it every day, but it's just extra in case you run into somebody. We have a lot of people on the team that are just like, yeah, that's cool. Just every once in a while I might refer at $10. That makes sense. I would love to buy a little bit more like a wholesale price. But the third person is who we're really looking for. That's the person who wants to make money. And if you want to make money, you can come in at $9.95, but we would suggest you coming in with the challenge package only because it's going to double all your bonuses, and that's how it's going to give you some really good upfront money. And then you're just going to choose your 1, 2, 4, or 10 coins. And like I said before, you can change that order at any time. You can go up, you can go down. So after you decide to get started, if you decide to come on board, here's what we do next. We set up a game plan right away to get you started so that way you can get paid right away. We get you plugged into all the events. Obviously, we have the Tuesday event, we have the Fast Start training, we have a monthly mastermind. It's a good idea to get your ticket to the mastermind right away if you want to learn how to build. This is for the people who want to build a business and make money on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We want to get you paid and promoted. And then all we do is repeat and teach that same system. We educate people on what we do. So I asked you guys at the beginning, would you please look at what we're doing? So if you run into the right person, you can refer us. Now you have the ability to do that. I told you about the three kinds of people we're looking for. So if you know anybody who's interested in stacking, collecting, or buying silver and gold, please refer them over to Aaliyah. What we're going to do is this will be on YouTube, and we're actually going to put her links there. The store link will be there, the join link will be there. So that way her contact information will be there so you can get a hold of her. Obviously, if you already know her, just text her and we'll get you over to the appropriate place. If she can't answer the question, she'll get me on the phone. If I can't answer the question, I will get the owners on the phone. So with that, we're going to wrap this up like a burrito. I appreciate everybody for joining us. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you will run into somebody. Happy stacking.